let's roll into our predictions. We're going to give you our finals brackets here, and I think the best way to do this is just by having each man go through theirs, and we'll just go into rotation here. So how about I throw it on over to Steez? You want to take this? You want to start us off here?
All right, so go all the way through
Yeah.
Yep.
finals, all the way to grand final, right?
Top to
Who's
bottom,
gonna
man.
who's gonna win your granny and how's it get there?
Okay, all right. So I think Brisbane will end up winning the grand final.
Okay.
That's my
Brisbane.
final
I like
prediction.
that.
Which I didn't, and to be honest, I actually didn't even think that was going to be my prediction until I got to the chart, and I was like, man,
Right? Isn't that
set
how
up?
it goes? Like you have one team in mind, but then you actually go through the matchups, and it's a completely different team.
Yeah. And I had Geelong winning like week 19, like I said.
Mhm.
But I'm just not convinced with the Tom Stewart.
Mhm.
So first week I had Melbourne versus Brisbane. I had Brisbane winning that through the 1 through 4 matchup. The 5-8 matchup, I have Essendon beating the Dogs and eliminating them from the finals. I have Sydney beating GWS, so GWS eliminated from finals. And then I have Port at Adelaide Oval beating Geelong, which I didn't actually think. That's the one that I wavered through the most. And that one might bite me in the ass. So moving on to the semifinals, I have Melbourne beating Essendon in the second round, eliminating Essendon from finals. And the Sydney-Geelong matchup, the 6-3 matchup, I have Geelong getting it done, eliminating Sydney. So that leaves Brisbane versus Geelong. I think Brisbane will eliminate them in the preliminary finals, with Melbourne beating Port, and in the grand final, Port versus Melbourne. Brisbane versus Melbourne, and Brisbane winning.
Okay. Okay. Hey, throw on over to Don, man. Let's see what you got then.
All right, so
I like that. I like that bracket though. I really do.
it's crazy because we didn't talk about this at all before we got here.
No.
But I also,
like that?
I love it.
I also have Brisbane winning
Oh,
this grand finals.
My boy, this one here.
But it's about who do they play in the grand final?
We have a lot different way to get there.
Mm.
We actually have the same grand finals matchup, Brisbane versus Geelong. Wait,
Okay.
no. Oh, we don't have the same.
Yeah.
We got Brisbane versus Geelong in the grand finals. Now, how we get there? All right, round 1 of the finals. The winners are going to be Brisbane, the Dogs, GWS, and Geelong as the winners of those games. Semifinals is Melbourne versus Dogs. I got Melbourne winning that. Then we got GWS versus Port. And I got GWS winning that.
Okay.
So prelims is Brisbane, GWS. Brisbane's winning that.
Mm-hmm.
Melbourne, Geelong. Geelong gets the win. Then grand final is Brisbane, Geelong. Brisbane coming out on top.
So rematch of this week.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a fun one, Donnie. Let's see what you got then.
All
Some good ones
right.
here.
Well, unfortunately for the two are great guests here, I do not have Brisbane winning the whole.
We're not
thing,
fans.
so.
It's okay.
No, it's awesome. I have Melbourne. I have Melbourne beating Brisbane. I think Melbourne's defense shuts down Brisbane a little bit. Brisbane's inconsistency in the back, I think, is going to hurt them a little bit on that one. I agree with you, Steve. I have the Dons beating the Doggies. I don't like the way the Doggies are playing. I think Draper's going to have a field day, no matter if they get Martin or English. I have Sydney beating GWS just because I think Sydney has that ruck advantage with Hickey being able to move a little bit more on Mumford. I think things have kind of changed a little bit. My worry again is that midfield matchup, but I think Sydney just has a little too much in a few different places. I have Port beating Geelong playing in Adelaide. I think is a huge advantage. And Geelong is not very good in that first round matchup. They are 2-7 in their first games of the finals. So they've not played really well. I don't know what it is. They just have this little funk about them. Elimination finals or the semis, Brisbane versus Essendon. I have Brisbane. I think the Dons just run out of a little bit of energy on this one. I think Brisbane's offense, it will catch the Dons defense. The Dons defense has been a little shaky at times. I have Sydney knocking out Geelong. I think Tom Stewart's injury will get them in this one just because of Sydney's offensive abilities. I don't think Geelong really has that guy that can shut down Buddy. If Buddy is healthy, I think that's a bad matchup, especially no Tom Stewart. So that will leave a Melbourne versus Sydney preliminary final and Brisbane versus Port. I have Melbourne beating Sydney. Melbourne's defense, I think, can shut them down. May did really, really well against Buddy earlier in the year. And that vaunted midfield of Petrarca and Clayton Oliver, I think, is just going to have a little too much, even if Kennedy or Mills are going to be able to play for Sydney. And then I have Port beating Brisbane. I think Port's ability to shut down Brisbane's forward line, I think Alir and Houston and McKenzie, I think will be able to shut down Danaher and some of that gives us a Melbourne Port grand final. And I tipped him at the start of the year. I don't know why. Again, this weird thing. I have the Port Adelaide Power beating the Melbourne Demons in the final, just because, like I said, that young offensive ability. I think Melbourne Melbourne will have been beaten up a little bit in the previous game against Sydney, and I think they may have given them a little bit of a tip. So I'm going to have the Power winning the whole thing in Perth.
Where you located?
Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, I'll fly out there and shake your hand in Port Wayne.
Oh.
I've been to Iowa before, man. I've been to Des Moines, actually. Go ahead, though, man. My bad.
All right, Ross.
I kind of went on a different route than all three of you, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this one, if I'm being honest.
Oh, geez.
Fucking GWS.
No, it actually isn't. Because GWS,
I was thinking that.
It's okay.
I was thinking that at
GWS,
first.
I had them losing to Sydney, so it's okay. It's okay.
He's got to keep his Sydney love going.
Dude, I have to keep my Sydney love, and it's working from you, Don. When you tip against GWS, or when you tip against Sydney, normally they win. So I'm going to tip against GWS, so they win. Okay. I'm just going to keep that going there. But
That works.
I feel, Donnie, you were riding Port Adelaide all season long. I mean, from preseason to now. So you stick with your guns, and I love that. I'm going to be a little bit bold here because I'm going to stick with my preseason guns. And the Sydney Swans are going to win the grand final this season.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
As a sixth team. I told you it was going to be a bottom four team that wins the grand final. And I got the Sydney
you got to
Swans
tell me,
winning.
how does this go?
Okay.
I got to hear this.
You said, how does this go?
So here we go. Finals week 1. Of course, Sydney's going to beat GWS. And then I got Port Adelaide beating Geelong. I have Essendon knocking the Western Bulldogs out of the finals, and the Bulldogs are going to lose 4 in a row and just end the season on such a bad note, especially with how they looked earlier in the year. And I have the Brisbane Lions taking out the Melbourne D's. All right? So, now we go into the semifinals. We have Essendon beating the Melbourne Demons, knocking them out of the finals. Okay.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Now I got Sydney knocking Geelong out of the finals in this one. We're going to have the prelim finals of Sydney beating Brisbane and Port Adelaide beating Essendon. So that's going to give us Sydney versus Port Adelaide. Donnie's favorite team against the team he's tipping at the grand final. So Sydney beats Port Adelaide in the grand final.
Wow, a rematch of that 10-point thriller in Adelaide, where, like I said, kicked that goal late. Wow,
I want that game.
It's bold. That was a good game. I thought that was a really good game for Sydney. Though they lost that one, they were really competitive in that entire game. So that was a good one.
I love that.
Wow. I like your boldness. Essendon knocking out Melbourne. That's he's taking a stretch there, but if it pulls off, man, you're gonna look like Nostradamus.
Exactly. See, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, Donnie knows full well. All my other co-hosts know full well, like my UFC guy, my NFL guy. They all know that I'm the one that's going to take bold takes. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm about 50-50 when it comes to my really hot takes like this. So, I mean,
and sometimes it gets hates in his YouTube comments.
Oh, hey, whatever breeds interaction and views, okay? You know, you got to grow the show like that. But that's how I'm going with. But I love all this from, we got both you guys tipping Brisbane. We got Donnie going with Port Adelaide. Got me going with the Sydney Swans. And, man, this was like going through this, like I said at the beginning, this was just such a tough one to tip because each one was like, ooh, so I felt the one I feel best about in the week 1 is Brisbane over Melbourne, or maybe Essendon over the Bulldogs. But like Sydney GWS, that's such a toss up. Geelong really could be Port Adelaide. I'm not sure if Port Adelaide could live up to this. And then everything here, like every pick I made, it felt like the wrong one until I got to the grand final.
I was so conflicted with the GWS Sydney game because both those teams I think could have potential to make it really far in the finals. But I think they're the two teams that I think are going to go out there put the most on the field just because I feel like they're underdogs. They're both young, not barely made it into the final. Well, Cindy had it first come up, but they can't. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but Sydney was such a hard decision for me because until last week, I really thought Sydney was going to be the little sleeper team that made it all the way to the grand finals. Then they matched up with GWS, and it's like, I don't know now. Yeah, that ruined everything for me.
And that's just kind of the way this season has been, and I don't expect it any other way because I mean, Ross could be completely right. I mean, you could literally see Brisbane. You could see all of the lower seeded teams win in the first round, and then all hell breaks loose. Which, I mean, it's going to be fascinating because there's so many tangible ways this could go. I mean, you literally could see a point where you could see Melbourne and Port Adelaide play each other in a preliminary final, 1 versus 2, play each other in a preliminary final. So that's how. Which it may sound stupid, but I think it brings more intrigue to. That's why I love the crossover game, because it does lead to some very interesting permutations, and you could still get 1 versus 2 in the championship game because, as Ross kind of pointed out, the statistics: 8 out of the last 10 flag winners have come from second or third. Only one flag winner in the last 10 years has come from the number 1 spot. So that's why some people have questioned Melbourne a little bit because of previous history. Now, again, each year is different, but 8 of the last 10 have been from 2 or 3. 1 at number 1, and the other one came from 7th, and that was the Bulldogs in 2016.
Oh, gosh. What wasn't Melbourne the team that finished first and at the grand finals that year? Was it Melbourne?
No, because they didn't win anything recently, I don't think.
The number, I think the 1 seed the 1 year was I'd have to look. I think it was Hawthorn. No, I think it was Hawthorn. I think it was during Hawthorn had that 3
yeah.
Hawthorn had 3 in a row, and I think one of the years they won, they were the number 1 seed, if I remember correctly. I mean, I can look it up. I just don't want to use a lot of YouTube and recording time to look it up. So
it's all good, man.
Well, that's always something that we can figure out post show, and then post on the socials. But